Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Ben Griffin Podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with Levi, a music major with a passion for teaching and playing. In this podcast, we talk about his hopes of sharing what he loves with others. Along with that, we talk about the power of music and the life of a band member in an orchestra, along with some other fun topics sprinkled in. This podcast was awesome to make, and Levi is just brilliant in humor as he is in study. So I hope you're entertained by him the same way that I am, especially as my friend. So thanks for tuning in and enjoy the podcast. Levi, welcome to the show, my man. It's been too long.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, look at you, sitting over there so sweet and so timid. And yet we've had conversations here for like 20 minutes, but we were like, God, we got to get this thing started because you walk in and it's like immediately you just start talking. I was telling him before I got started, the big thing with Levi is he's one of these people when you sit down and you talk with him, it doesn't matter what topic you bring up. He's always got an interesting way of perceiving it versus a lot of my past guests. Not to say that they're not interesting, but I always imagined that if you were sitting in the room or even if you took my place, you could do it just as well, if not better, because you've always got a very good insight about you, about reaching into new topics or not knowing something and just playing around with the rules and seeing where you go. And it's awesome. I think it's really fun. It's really interesting always to be around you when I get a chance.
I'm a bullshitter. I'm a bullshitter.
Oh my gosh. No, but why don't we do just a quick introduction because some people might not know who you are. What's your major and what do you plan on doing with it?
I'm a music major focused in education with a secondary education minor. I hope to become a high school band director or a music performer too. I play trombone and I like to be involved in all things music. So wow. There you go.
How many instruments have you played over your time?
My main instrument is trombone. I've picked up bass trombone, which is the same but different. Piano, I have to pass proficiency for, so I have to be okay at it.
Really?
A secret instrument I'm good at that I hate and I never bring it up, but I'll bring it up for the sake of entertainment. I am decent at playing the banjo.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding.
Wait, let me stop you for just a minute here, and it's not just about the banjo. So let's talk about the piano. You have to pass the piano. Yes. Is that for chord progression or something?
So all the requirements of the piano proficiencies, I have to play a piece at my skill level from memory. I have to sight read a hymn, which is just like chords.
Whoa.
I have to play a melody and harmonize with it at the same time. And I have to transpose up or down a step. And I also have to read an unusual clef, so alto or tenor. And I have to do all that and pass and show I'm proficient in all those aspects to pass piano proficiency. Okay.
Do they kind of leave it there just to make sure you know piano, or is it more just so you know how to read music?
It's a combination of, it's a test of knowing theory and putting theory into practice and knowing how chords work. It's very important and it's very helpful. So say if you're a choir director, you can play the parts, or if you're a band director, you can play chords and whatnot along with and say, no, this is how it goes, or stuff like that.
Okay, gotcha. Now, let's go back to the banjo then. I know I'm cutting this in pieces, but you got me. You already got me. But where did the banjo come from? Because I want to make Stearns County jokes.
All right. So my dad, one of his hobbies is woodworking. And he loves to woodwork, and he's also, another one of his hobbies is being a musician, and that's actually where a lot of my inspiration comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And so he melded the two and made a banjo.
You're kidding.
So he made like the wood and the body, and then like the kit gives you the frets and the head and the tuning pegs.
Okay.
and then you insert them, and then you made a banjo. He's also made a harp, and it's awesome. But yeah, so he had a banjo out, and he bought like a book to teach himself and whoever else. And watching TV during commercials, I would mess around with it, and I wouldn't say I'm professional, but I like seem professional.
But you know your way around it.
Yeah.
That's great. I didn't realize that you could just like throw one together in a workshop. You know, I always think of them like violins as very sensitive, like musical instruments.
It is. Like, it's not a professional banjo. It sounds nice, but it's not, because in professional music and instrument making, everything matters.
Okay.
The thickness of the wood, the type, for brass instruments, the thinness of the metal, the exact alloy of brass, so the percent of zinc and copper matters.
Really?
Everything matters.
Why the amount of zinc and the mixture? Is that just what the way the resonation of the sound?
Yeah, so actually on Saturday I'm going down to Schmidt Music to the trombone shop, and I'm going to try some other instruments, some other trombones, because I just want to see what's out there.
Yeah.
And so there's like 3 different types of brass. There's yellow brass, gold brass, and rose brass. And the rose brass is the highest copper content, which makes it pink. And yeah, the difference is that red brass or rose brass has a warmer sound, but it also gets very edgy the higher and louder you play. So it's very hard to control the sound in extremes. But where it performs well is when you just want big, lovely, sweet sound, which is what it gives. And then yellow brass is the opposite, where at extremes it's good, but it's more bright and tingy all the time.
Which one do you usually prefer?
My trombone is yellow brass with a gold brass bell, and gold brass is the middle.
Okay.
Slightly more towards rose. But yeah, usually trombones aren't all one or the other. Usually the bell is a different thing, or one of the tuning slides will be different, or whatever. So, but yeah, it does make a difference. And actually getting an audition and winning an audition, that would matter. Like if you played the same audition with a different trombone, it would matter.
Okay.
So, because if you don't have the sound, you can sound amazing, but if you don't have the sound they want, they won't take you.
Really?
Yeah.
How often do you usually, excuse me, how often do you usually perform in front of, just alone? Like, say you got judges, I remember in high school, there was like, you had to go in front of a group of 3 judges. You had to go into a room and perform. When I played piano, I had to go in front of a judge, and you had to perform this piece. I know I don't want to say like a name of what competition it is, because they're always called something different.
Yeah.
But do you still do that in college? You do some sort of solo eval?
Yes, it's actually your final.
Okay.
If you take lessons, your final is a jury. And if you're a music major, you take full faculty juries, which all of the lesson teachers show up and grade you on how you perform.
Okay.
And that actually determines if you're in the major or not. And it sounds scary, and it's scary when you're doing it, but the faculty wants you to be accepted, and so they will accept you. Unless like it's abysmally bad.
Yeah.
But like they want you to succeed. And so even if it's not the most perfect performance, they gauge how well you worked to get to that point. So it's not like it matters that much, but it still is very scary and can be very intimidating. Going into a room with 40 people, all of them are expert musicians, and you have to play for them, and they are grading you on it.
Yeah.
And it's very scary. And my full faculty last year in the fall, I straight up just like missed the last note.
Oh.
It was bad. And then my lesson teacher, like, he sends you an eval like on Christmas of like how you did, and he's like, here's your progress in the semester. He gives you a little progress report, and it's very nice. I like it a lot. And he was like, yeah, the whole time you were flat with the piano, so there's that. I was like, Yeah, I was not paying attention to that at all. I was just like, I'm holding on for dear life, and that's just how it is. And then,
jeez.
But they accepted me because
Well, you're in our bands. You represent the school usually, so you must be thought of very highly. I think of you highly. So
thanks, Ben. I appreciate that.
Yeah, coming from me, it's nothing. But
Ben, you're a personable man and
somewhat
a world traveler.
Oh, don't even start. You know how bad of a world traveler. I got arrested 4 times, and that's for another day.
Ooh. Yeah, but see, I haven't been arrested at all, so your experience trumps mine. So
well, yeah, my experience is, for people that don't know, this is the short version of the story. I think I told Vinny I was going to go on his podcast and tell this story, but when I was in Israel, I got detained 4 times for very minor reasons. It was all mistakes. Like we always walked away laughing. It was never a danger. It was never anything terrible. It was like, oh, I grabbed the wrong bag, or I didn't know how much water I could bring on the plane, or it was something like that. And I got detained 4 times by Israeli soldiers.
I think it's just Israeli. I want to make Ben look bad, but
Israeli.
It's Israeli.
I spent time there. But I got that, and then I did a long study in a juvenile prison up at Arrowhead Juvenile Correctional Center up in Duluth, and it's like one of the largest open area prisons. So the only doors that lock are the doors that when you walk into the main quarantine area, and then the actual cells, and then the showers too. So there's 3 doors, but everything else is open. So you can look in the lunchroom, you can see into the gymnasium, you can see the art room, everything. So it's kind of creepy because there was like 15 kids, and these were like bad kids. And I didn't tell my mom until after I got out of prison. So I was like, Mom, I went to prison. And she was like, what? What did you just do? So I'm a terrible communicator sometimes.
But see, this is what I mean. I don't have any experiences like going to Israel or visiting a prison. I've never seen a prison. Okay, I've seen a prison like driving by, but I have never been in a prison.
This would be funny. All. This sounds funny to say, but you would actually find it really interesting.
I know I would.
You'd probably do really well in prison.
I'm a learned man. Okay.
No, it's why we're friends.
The good quote from a philosopher. It's one of the ancient ones, and I can't remember which one it is, because I always get them confused. But I think my favorite quote and one I live by is that it is in human nature to have the desire to learn.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. My problem is I don't like to learn deep. I like to learn about everything, and I hate just going into one topic. And it's actually one of my biggest struggles in college is that I know enough about this. Yeah. I want to move on.
I'm in the same boat with you, especially when it comes to things like theories.
Yeah.
Especially in my major, because I'm a comm major, so it's like, oh, we got all these different theories, and we got this different mass market theory. We got, I could go on. I don't want to know much more than communication is a lot of feel and understanding just people and being able to hold yourself and develop skills in being a good public speaker, good writer. So I totally understand that. I bring on, excuse me, I'm something in the throat, but it's funny because it's basically the reason, I'm doing this is I bring in somebody different every single time. It's not a series. I like to hear something new. Yeah. And I feel like I've got like ADHD or something, but even if I didn't, even if I do, I learn plenty, but it is kind of cool how much stuff there is to know and just the spread that you can get to so easily. But no, one of these days we got to get you on one of those experiences. I think you'd really enjoy it.
I do. All of my cool experiences are music related,
which is fascinating to me. Like, let me jump back here for a minute. Okay. Because I wanted to ask one question. It's been bugging me. But when you say a bell, what exactly is the bell? Because I think of like a dinner bell.
Sorry. So, it's so hard to do without a picture.
No, I know. It's fine. If you have Google and you're listening, just look up a bell. But I'm just kind of looking to see if I can figure it out.
So it's the so if you think about the trombone shape, it's like the slide that has a U, and then it goes back in a U, and then like right about here, it there's like this piece that goes and then flares out, and that's what the sound goes out. Mm-hmm. That's the bell. That piece.
Okay, gotcha.
And
Oh, you did pretty good at describing that then.
That piece is, can make or break it. Any dent or scratch changes the sound, and well, it does anywhere, but especially I think on the bell. And and what it's made out of, definitely.
I'm just gonna finish up this because it leads me into something else that we were just kind of talking about experiences. Yeah. What do you hope to do with all of this you're doing right now, with the major, with touring around? What do you want to do eventually? Is it education, or do you want to perform?
Honestly, let's get real talk.
No, yeah, man. Let's sit up. Let's sit up a bit.
Music, a great piece just ruins your day in the best way.
Really?
For me. And honestly, I can see the lack of appeal because it's a very hard thing to get into. But I think classical music hits yourself in such a way that popular music can't. And like wind ensemble pieces, anyone listening, go to CSPSU wind ensemble concerts. They're worth it.
They are. I've been to a couple.
Yeah,
they're good. It's shameless plug. I don't do it as many times as you want, man. Seriously, this is all yours. Take the time.
So last year in the spring semester, probably the most meaningful concert of my entire life was the last one where we played David Mislanka's Symphony No. 8, and it's a piece about the underlying spirit of life. And it's not happy music. It's not all happy music, but there's always a creative flow underneath, and it's so hard to not sound pretentious when you're talking about it.
No, it's.
But when
I gotcha.
Yeah, when you're talking about it, I can listen to that piece and I'll cry. I'm not lying. It means that much to me. I'm actually kind of tearing up right now, a little bit, not that much. But
I'm glad you are though.
Yeah, that piece makes me so happy when I listen to it. And it was meaningful to me. And at the same time, we were in philosophy, which was like the most convenient part, was at the end of the year in our philosophy class, it talked about the meaning of life and how you can determine meaning. And it happened at the same time because that song was attempting to answer that question at the same time. And it was very meaningful to me. And I don't know, it's that experience, that fundamental emotional experience that means so much to me. And I want songs to ruin their lives like it ruined mine. Exactly like that. And I think it starts in high school when you can be taught that. And I think it's a valuable experience that people are missing out on. And I want that to come back because the arts are dying. And it's because of STEM majors. I hate you all. Well, all right, but anyway, so that's
thank
why.
You for telling me. I didn't realize that you guys so connected to pieces like that. Like
no, it like songs do, and
I think it happens more than we think too. Like I've been caught with that type of stuff. I remember my mom taking me to the orchestra when I was little,
and it's important to see it live.
Yeah, it's
important to see it live. I've heard there's this good YouTube quote that I'd got from a YouTuber. And he said, the difference between a live performance and a recording is the difference between eating a steak and eating a picture of a steak. And that is exactly how I feel about it. It's like the whole experience is there in that steak. The smell, the taste, what it looks like, it's there. And the picture, all you get is one aspect, what it looks like. Or in the case of music, you can hear what it sounds like, but you don't get the full experience.
Wow.
And it's important to see it live. If you want music to change your life, go to a live performance from the Minnesota Orchestra or any local orchestra.
Man, no, I remember going to there as a kid, and I mean, it's printed on my memory. I'll always remember that.
Do you remember what they were playing?
No, I just remember being like, holy smokes, and just being blown away and remembering I could do this again. Like I remember.
We should go one time.
I would be down to go with you, man. I will say this. My old roommate, Eddie, shout out to Eddie if he ever gets a chance to hear this. I'm sure he will eventually. I've been sending him stuff. But he played trumpet. And I remember when I got into college, I started recording them. Yeah. Because I remember there's something about hearing it the first time, and then I would record them. And as I'm sorry. FYI, I just got back from volunteering at the gym, so my voice is a little hoarse because I was playing basketball with kids. But he told me to stop recording because he's like, that's not what we're here to do. It's not going to ever do it justice if you record it. Sure, you can record it and send it to my mom, but keep focused on the actual instruments. And I was like, okay. And he was dead beat right. So I don't know. You're just drawing back memories for me. This is kind of amazing for me.
It's great. Music has that way of, I don't know, bringing people back in such a good way. Like, nobody remembers what they were doing when they were first taught, like, fractions. But almost everyone could remember the first song that made a deep impact on them. And it's usually a child song, but everyone can remember it. Like 50 years from now, you're not going to remember what you learned in 3rd grade, but you will remember that time in 3rd grade where you were listening to this song, right? And it's, yeah.
And you remember some of your concert songs, like you sang when you were a kid. Like I can still kind of remember like the tone, and I can remember the words. You know, I was like 2nd grader.
Can you remember the actions? Because
don't even start with the actions. I was so stupid looking. I had to do like climb the ladder. I looked like
the ladder, like put sunglasses on. Oh man, they were the worst. I'll tell you what.
I hope that's you.
They did not. No, because guess what? That made me hate music in elementary school.
Really?
I hated it.
Jeez.
I'm looking at the Minnesota Orchestra.
No, dude, yeah.
I'm trying to look for a concert that would bang. And you know what? I'm not finding it. But there was a Harry Potter in concert. They're going to play some Harry Potter stuff, which is pretty awesome.
You know, I remember the last concert I went and saw, and I actually thought it was really cool. They played the whole West Side Story soundtrack to the movie, and you were able to watch the movie.
Yeah.
And they did a live performance of that. Oh, you know, it was good. I liked it. But
doing that
the place
with
was
Up.
packed.
They're doing that with Up. Disney and Pixar's Up in concert.
That will make you cry.
November 29th.
November.
Or Saturday, November 30th.
Dude, if you're in town, you should stay. You can stop by. We'll go.
That'll be Thanksgiving, won't it?
Yeah. What day is Thanksgiving this year? That's a good question.
That'll be definitely the week that we're off, because it's the 29th through the 1st.
Okay.
Of November. Yeah, November and December.
Okay.
It's a good one. All right, I got a song recommendation out there. Listen to O Magnum Mysterium by I don't know his first name, but it's last name Lauridsen. That song fucks me up every time.
Really?
When I get drunk and I listen to that song, I actually cannot control myself. It fucks me up that bad.
What do you have, like a song? Like if I asked you, is there a song that you have had a hard time not having people give a reaction to it? Like you're in an audience, that song comes on, and the people around you just all react. And it doesn't have to be like tears. It can be, you know, just...
Yeah, I think every song does that if the performance is going well.
Okay.
Because even if you're not into that kind of music, it is so designed to get your reaction that it will.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be as exaggerated, like you won't be bawling your eyes out or jumping out of your seat, but it will change like how you're feeling. Like if you go into a concert and all they play is happy music, you will come out feeling better, even if you're not into it, just because it's like that's the purpose, right?
Yeah.
And if you're listening, that it will affect you.
Have you ever gone? I'm sure you have, but I want to see if there's one in particular. Have you ever had an experience where you go on stage and you play and you're in the band and you're just like, whoa, we just did something pretty amazing right there?
Yeah, last concert. I don't know if you went. I won't be hurt.
I'm
if you didn't
thinking
go.
of the Eau Claire one. I don't remember the one before that.
No, the last wind ensemble concert. I don't know if you were there.
No,
I won't be hurt.
Well,
but
I didn't know you as well, I should say. I've been embarrassed. I've been terrible.
That was literally like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, so. No, never mind. I thought you were talking about like last year. Because I remember you getting like worked up about something last year at the very end of the year.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
That was
Symphony 8.
Okay, that was Symphony 8.
The last one that we did, which was like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. I don't know. But it was a week ago. That happened. And it's at the end. There's like this super long build up, and then boom, you're right into just this amazing part. And it's the build up that really sells it. And it was very special. And it was hard for me to actually play because I was very into it, and it was very hard for me to actually keep going. But I got through it, and it was great. So,
what's that like to have that experience on stage when you're with, a group of people between 10 and, however large your band is here? Just share that moment.
It's hard to describe. It's like, I'm going to compare it to sports. Us nerds like to compare ourselves to the jocks, right? I don't know. It's like when your team pulls off the Hail Mary, right? It's like it was a group effort. Sure, the quarterback and whatever, and we'll say the quarterback is the conductor, right? Sure, the quarterback is the one that looks like they're doing it, but it's the team. Like there's no winning game without the team, right?
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. It's one unit trying to make one sound, right? It's not 50 individual sounds, it's one band. And that's when it comes together in such a perfect way. And I'm not saying we performed it perfectly, because we certainly didn't, and there's no such thing as a perfect performance, but when it comes together in such a awesome and impactful way, it's really special.
Yeah. No, I think it's fair, though, to compare it to sports, because when that harmony kicks in, and you get those goosebumps, there's nothing quite like it. And the closest thing I've ever come to is the sports, because you know how I am with sports.
Yeah, but it's the buzzer beater, right? It's that point. And honestly, music for me probably makes me feel the same way that you feel when you're watching a basketball or football game, right? It's the highs, it's the lows, it's because you're invested, right?
Yeah.
And I feel musicians are especially invested because it's all our work culminating in one 40-minute concert, right? It's not like a painting where you can look at the Mona Lisa as many times as you want. You hear that 40 minutes, and that 40 minutes will never come back, right? It's in that way, music is special.
Yeah. No, it's just kind of cool to hear you say it like this, because it makes it seem like there's a greater appreciation for moments. Just the little passing moments when you get that break between songs, and you're looking over at the flute players, like, watch this banger. I'm just about to float over these guys' heads. Like, it makes you appreciate being able to have those people around you and being in that moment and being able to say, wow, look at this, like what we've done.
And I think it's one of the struggles of a musician is that, honestly, I think the music that I performed has impacted me way more than the music I've listened to, because it has become, in a sense, a part of me, right? Versus just the listener. And I think it's one of the banes of musicians is that they go, I love this piece, it's the best. It makes me feel so great. And and other people are just like, yeah, sure, whatever, dude. Like, get over it. It's just like, and that's gonna be one of my biggest challenges as a teacher. Is I'm gonna be like, isn't this awesome? This is the coolest. And these kids are just gonna be like, whatever. I'm just trying to get my my arts credit. And you're just like, man, I wish you were as excited as I was, because if you let it, this music will change your life.
Well, yeah, and if you go into it with that excitement and that desire to teach, and most importantly, the passion, I think you'll be able to reach most of them, because I know.
It's got to be soul crushing for teachers, though.
Oh, God.
In a way, like, because you can imagine, I don't know, like a history teacher who absolutely loves history and has this immense passion for it. And then this kid goes, why do we have to learn this? It's got to be so soul crushing for something that you're so passionate about, and other people just don't have it. Can
I tell you a quick story?
Yeah.
Just anecdote to this?
Let's tell me.
I had a history teacher my sophomore year, and he used to give us, his specialty was in U.S. history, and we were taking basically the history around Abraham Lincoln's presidency, the Civil War leading up to Woodrow Wilson. That kind of short span that short 50 years of time, it's like everything after 65. Sorry, I gotta like readjust. And he used to assign, instead of tests, he would do papers, and he would grade them harsh, like hard. I hadn't had an F in years, and I had my first F with him, and I was livid because I had spent all day, all night working on this paper, getting the language right. I took pride in my writing.
Yeah.
F right off the bat. I'm like, what the hell? He comes in a week later, and he gives us more textbooks, and he just had printouts that he had basically bound together. And they're all different letters from all over, photo scanned, and all this national documents that we could read and highlight on.
Yeah.
He was going to town to give us all this information, going through it with us, having us read all these letters, and yet he would just grade us so brutally. So one day I just go up and I said, listen, the paper I had, I just spent 3 days on that, and if it's D- work, where do I start? Where's the starting block then?
Yeah.
And he said, write me a paper, bring it in here in 2 days, and we'll sit down and we'll tear it apart and we'll see where you're going wrong. I'm like, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I write this paper, I bring it back, I sit down with him, and he couldn't be a nicer guy. Like, he's this very friendly man. It's just the moment you let him out of your sight with any of your stuff, like homework, you get nervous.
Yeah.
And so I sit down with him, and it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm done with all my classes, and I have him read some of it. And we go paragraph to paragraph, and I kid you not, we spent at least an hour and a half on the paper. And he puts it down, he slides it across me, he says, this is your map. This is where you need to go. Here's where you need more evidence. I want you to quote this way. I think it'd be better if you started with your thesis in both beginning at the end. Made me a better writer. But the most important part of this story is what comes next is after about 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours of sitting in there talking about paper, getting frustrated, he said, what do you think of the class? And I just go, I love history. I find it fascinating. I'm not an expert though. If you asked me for dates and years, I'd have a hard time. But if you told me a story, I would sit until the end, and I don't care how long it is.
Yeah.
And we got talking, and he's like, what's your favorite part? And blah, blah, blah. He was kind of judging, the class. And he starts going in, to the lectures. And I just, like I'm with you, I ask questions, and I have a conversation with him. And he cries in front of me over the Emancipation Proclamation. Yeah. And about the letters that was written and the mystery behind Lincoln, and that we say, he freed the slaves for this reason. But there's like 3 other reasons that he could have done it. We don't actually know. No. And he cries about the Gettysburg Address, and he would bring it back, and they would talk about, how, I think I brought it up with Alex the other day, how Abraham Lincoln could have been like a manic depressant, because there was one time he was towing his son in a wagon across Washington, and he would get into such a fits in whatever he was having going on in his head. Yeah. His sight would narrow, and he'd lose track of what was going on around him. And one time he was walking in front of the White House coming back, or he was walking through Washington somewhere, and a woman ran up and tapped him on the shoulder. She said, sir, your son is back there. He's like, wait, what do you mean? He had left Todd 2 miles back. He didn't even know he fell out of the wagon. Like, who would research that to find that out? And then he cries about the Emancipation Proclamation, because he would had the famous line in his letters where he ran for president of, I would, this is dated, this is, so what I'm going to say, I don't actually endorse, but he said, I believe a black man should be free, but I certainly wouldn't want my daughter to marry one. Yeah. And that's like, well, then he's racist, isn't he? Yeah. But then at the same time, he's freeing them on the other end. Well, if he freed them, then they joined the Union Army, and all of a sudden that massive workforce has gone from the South. So there's all of this balancing going on, and I see this man start crying in front of me. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm freaking out. Yeah. And I leave, after about another 2.5 hours. I was there from 1 till almost 4:30. And as I'm leaving the room, I start smiling. I'm like, I think I just saw a part of him that I don't think anyone else will, like in my class. No. And I realized that was all passion. Yeah. And every day after class, after that, I would hold a small discussion for 20 minutes. I set a timer. I sat down next to him at this desk that was in the classroom, and I'd talk about that material for the day. And slowly but surely, my papers got better. I never perfected anything.
Yeah.
But I realized the moment I saw the passion and just the torture he had to share the information,
Yeah.
I was just awestruck, you know?
Yeah.
And immediately my grades started to go up somewhat, you know? C's turned to B's, and B's never turned to A's because it was still brutal. But I was just so happy to know that there was this guy there that really cared about what he was doing.
And that's why he graded hard, probably. He didn't
Yeah.
grade hard to be an a-hole.
No.
He didn't want anything less than utter care, right?
Yeah.
And if you didn't give that, he didn't want it, right?
No, and he wanted to pass on the information he loved.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I know this is a bad example, but it's like passing on your child to somebody else in marriage. It's
Yeah.
like, I love this. This is something I treasure in my life, is
Yeah.
knowing this.
Yeah.
I want you to take care of it for me and pass it on to another person.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me that there's people out there like
Yeah.
that. So I hope the best for you when you're doing that. I really hope it turns out. I know I'll be keeping up with you and seeing what's going on, but they won't know how lucky they are to have you, really, because there's very few people in this world that have that passion and drive to just put their egos aside and just say, I'm going, no matter if they like me or dislike me. Or,
Yeah. I just hope it rubs off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of hate my education classes.
Oh, I wouldn't. Yeah, that's fine. It's
And
part
it's-
of the journey, though. You know.
No, but it's like I should like them because it's what I want to do. But
Is it the tediousness of it?
it's it's kind of the tediousness of it, and it's kind of like they give you such a landmine that you feel like you can't become a teacher anymore because you're like, well, you can't do this anymore, or you can't do this anymore, or you have to be wary about this, and pretty soon it's like, so what can I do? Because apparently I can't do anything. And at that, it just becomes so scary to become a teacher because it's very easy to be a bad one.
Yeah.
And it honestly, the only thing that's holding me to education is that I love music so much and I want others to love it so much. And when I went, because you have to do a 40-hour teacher shadow experience, and I went back to my old high school, and music teachers are so overworked. I don't know if you know that, but they are doing
No, I've been
they are
seeing
doing 3 people's jobs by themselves, and it's kind of dumb. But I came back, and he was the nicest man, and he said, "Do you want to teach class?" And I literally was there and taught class the whole week, and it was the most fun and awesome thing I ever did. And it is the only reason why I'm staying in the major, because I hate everything about it, but actually doing it was the best thing I've ever done.
Wow.
And I love it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Oh, I started out wanting to teach kindergarten. I got in the classroom once. I was like, I overthink too quickly. I didn't see myself doing it for more than 10 years.
See, I can never become an elementary student or elementary teacher. Sorry, because honestly, I don't think I have the patience, and I'm kind of a low energy individual.
Yeah, you're a very relaxing guy to be around.
I'm an energy reciprocator, not an energy creator. So, I mean, I do okay around kids, like number one uncle for my nephew, and my nieces, but they don't see me as much as as I see my nephew and my goddaughter. But I'm number one uncle for them, and it's because I play with them and I reciprocate their energy, but I cannot sustain that, and I don't think I could create that. Like if they were waiting for me to be engaging, I don't think that could happen. And I've had practice, and I'm not very good at it. What I am good at is when I was at the high school and teaching, I made it such a collaborative experience. And that's what I liked about it, was that my students weren't my students, they were my colleagues. And I still instructed them, but I was like, do you guys have any input? How would you interpret this? Or how would, I don't know, certain things. I was like, well, here's the music. and here's where there's wiggle room, and I have my interpretation, but I want to see how you do it. Or they have like this theory book or whatever that they go through where they read little songs, and that's how you teach band. And I would go, what do you want to play? And they would pick it, and I would go, okay, what are you not so good at? And then they would pick it, and then we'd go through it, and then I would be like, okay, what do you want to play? And then it was a very collaborative experience. Yeah. And my instructions weren't instructions. They were like suggestions, right? And I think it really helped. And I was very like communicative, and I think I can't think of the word, making pictures.
Oh,
now you can't think.
Yeah,
illustrative, or like painting the picture. And I think they got it, and it was so rewarding when after I worked with them, you could tell the difference.
Yeah.
And I was like, why do I even need to go? I can make positive differences right now. I can take them from here to here right now. And that's literally your only gauge as a teacher.
Yeah.
Is you take pre-tests and post-tests, and you gauge whether your teaching was effective. And I could tell in that 40 minutes that they were better than they were before the 40 minutes. I was like, why do I even need to be here? And that's another part of my education frustrations, is that it's like,
I've got it.
I've got it. Like, sure, I might not be like someone else will help me be more professional and write like better tests. Like, yeah, what band director gives their kids tests anyways? But I mean, like, it's there. What am I doing here? Just let me go into student teaching and let me go. I'm ready. Like,
yeah, get me out in the field. No,
yeah.
And then you get antsy and you don't want to keep doing it.
And yeah, there's honestly very little motivation to go and like write about some behavioral psychology thing that you witnessed in children. It's like, yeah, I don't need to know the definition to know that this is a problem, right? Or like, I know how to fix this because like all the things were like, yeah, these are teaching strategies that every teacher has used ever on the face of the planet, and I know how to do them, so what's the point?
Wow.
But I don't know. I feel like going into a school where the kids don't know me, because I was still new enough in college where the kids in high school still knew me. So I feel like I didn't have to earn their respect because they already knew me.
Really?
So I feel like that was easier because I never had to really do classroom management. Like the 7th and 8th graders were a little wild, but all the high schoolers knew me, and I would stop them. They would be quiet. I would give brief instructions, and I would go, okay, and I'll apply it, and boom. And it was on. I never had to worry about disruptions or people talking. I think it was because I was A, new, and B, they knew me, so they were like, well, I want to see what he's learned, or like how he would do this. And so,
well, I will say this too, you also have a very strong presence about you. When you speak, people listen.
That is not true.
No, it is. I find it very true. You hold a room better than most people that I know.
I don't think that's true, but
I'm not saying it to be funny.
No, I think
you do.
Because we're in conducting class, great class. There talks about being a conductor as having an impulse of will, which
that's different.
Which is very different, because it's very different to hold the room when you're talking versus when you're just standing there.
That's very different.
You have to.
You and I have blended into many a room together.
You have to impose yourself and control the room with nothing more than your presence. And I don't like. That's
You'll learn that one.
You'll have to learn. I'll have to learn that one, but it's good and it's bad. Like, I'm good at it and I'm terrible at it, in the sense that like when I go up, I don't bend, because one of the things about it is that like if you're conducting and people aren't watching you, and you're like, okay, I'll cover for them and like pretend like that's what I'm doing, but really I'm following them, versus this is my interpretation, here's my time, follow me, right? And I'm good at that, but like I'm a very laid back person, so when I go up there, I just am like I'll show it, but I won't. It's hard to explain, and by it I mean the musical aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting. Man.
There's a lot more than meets the eye than conducting, because a lot of people think it's you go up there, you boom, 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 pattern, here's the time. The musicians know what to do after that, but there's so much more.
What would be like a good example of things that people don't see when a conductor steps up there? I know there's probably a handful of things, but what's just one?
I would say just the sheer prep. Like, here is a 2,000 measure score that this person has memorized to the point where they can give cues and shape how they want to, and they know exactly what notes to hold, which notes to, like, it's impressive.
Wow.
And some people don't memorize, but the ones that do
are the better.
I don't know.
Do you see a difference?
You do and you don't. Like, I think the it's the director's interpretation is always different from director to director. So it's not necessarily one's better. It's just one's different, and it's up to your personal taste.
Okay.
I think it's more impressive, and it shows that the conductor knows. Which, I mean, we can leapfrog into what else I wanted to talk about, which is orchestra.
Take it. Run with the reins.
So, orchestras can be dicks sometimes.
I see a feature segment. Continue.
So, if you're a new conductor and you go up to a quote-unquote respectable orchestra, they might test you out by purposely playing wrong to see what you will do, or by purposely ignoring you to see what you would do.
Can this be all the way up to like...
Yes.
Oh, Minnesota, like we're talking state orchestras. We're kind of groom them out.
We're talking the top of the top, and they would, but I don't think they would, just because
most of the time
you won't get to conduct them until you are a proven conductor.
Okay, gotcha.
But at the semi-professional level, which is kind of funny, it's again like sports. So there's like the top ones, and then there's like semi-professional, which would be like the St. Cloud Symphony. There'd be Rochester. There's, I think you consider, I don't know, but like each small city probably has an orchestra, and you would consider those semi-professional. And if you are a new conductor, they might. Not every single orchestra will, but it has been known to happen. And they can be dicks sometimes. And what will happen is like 2 or 3 players will do it. So it's like the loud minority. But they'll be like, get this guy out of here if he doesn't know what he's doing. So we'll test his knowledge of the score and like test his impulse of will by purposely doing shit wrong.
Dick move.
Yeah. And so how you respond to that determines if you keep your job, because they will unionize and petition to kick you out. So, yeah.
I'm just trying to wrap my brain around that, because I had a choir teacher that was like a living demon. God loved her. I loved her.
Yeah.
But she didn't take nothing from anybody. But to hear it the other way, to hear an orchestra will give it to you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a new thing for me to think about. It's weird.
Yeah. And orchestras can be a very toxic environment.
This was something you brought up at the table. I really wanted to kind of pin you down with this one. I'm fascinated. Finish the conductor part.
No, that's all I had to say
about
mind. That. That's all I had to say about that.
Well, what makes an orchestra? What makes it so toxic? What is there?
So there's a stereotype among professional musicians that they are smug individuals, and that's not an entirely unearned stereotype. So, especially principal players, or I don't remember what the position is called. It's like it's a liaison between the conductor and the orchestra. So he's like you consider it like kind of my position at the wind ensemble here is that I'm president of the wind ensemble. So I am a liaison between the conductor and the ensemble.
Is that like first violin or whatever?
It's usually first violin. It doesn't have to be. And it can be any principal player. And for those that don't know, principal players are the leaders of each section. So each section has a principal player. So if you hear a musician talking about the principal of like the Chicago Orchestra, that's what they're talking about. Yeah, so they can lead and be toxic. Like if the conductor doesn't recognize them at like the end of a concert, they will throw a hissy fit.
Really?
Yep. It's not uncommon for and I'll say this happens in the St. Cloud Orchestra. I won't say who or what player, but it has happened in this St. Cloud Symphony Orchestra where one of the principal players will lean over and go, I want to interpret it that way, and then play it by their interpretation instead of what the conductor gives them, which is not their job. Their job is to follow the conductor. So, yeah, it's very immature.
A lot of anarchy almost going on.
Yeah.
Like go against the man.
So you would think a musician is refined, but they're a bunch of competitive wussies sometimes. Oh. And I'm very grateful that CSB SJU music majors and music people in general are very collaborative and friendly and want to hang out, and nobody holds a grudge. It's very lucky because Dan, who was actually a music major in St. Olaf, switched majors and moved schools because he actually hated how competitive and toxic their music program was.
Yeah, I remember hearing some horror stories about that.
So I'm very grateful that the music program here is much better. Yeah. But it can be that way, and it's the sad reality of musicians that it's a dog-eat-dog world. Every audition, there's other people there trying to one-up you. Every gig calling, you'll lose out to a guy just because he knows more names, and if you happen to take his gig one time out of a fluke, he will hate you without even meeting you, and it's not great. And it is the loud minority. Like the majority of orchestra people are super nice, and almost all of them are teachers, private lessons. They want to expand music however they can, but some of them are kind of dicks, and some of them are known for it. Like my lesson teacher actually talked about he's a famous man and he's well known for it, so I won't feel bad about name dropping him.
No, you're good if it's famous.
But Gary Greenhoe, who makes Greenhoe trombones, was a famous a-hole, and everyone was happy when he quit
Really?
He quit the symphony and started making trombones, and people were kind of happy about it. And he just up one day decided to be a dick and was like, we're not gonna make trombones anymore, and just shut down all his factories and fired everyone. And so Greenhoe was out of business for a while, and now some other people under the Greenhoe name, like the former workers, brought the factory back, and now Greenhoe trombones are being made again. But he was a well-known a-hole, and people were not happy with him. And he was known for being very blunt and kind of just like what you think a dick musician is.
It's probably Gary.
He was the guy. I don't know if his first name is Gary. I think it is. I'm pretty sure I know his last name is Greenhoe because I know Greenhoe trombones. I'm pretty sure his first name is Gary.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
Right? I got another tidbit.
Yeah.
It's not about orchestra etiquette, but it is about orchestra. Every orchestra you see is not making money. They are all money pits, and they're surviving solely on donations and charity. All their musicians are poorly paid because the orchestra never makes any of their money back on performances. So I don't know if you knew that, but yeah.
Really? Even the biggest chorales in the world?
The biggest, like the New York Philharmonic, which is debatably the best on the planet Earth, is always in the red when it comes to profits that they get just by themselves.
Then what would attract people to do it? Then what would make you say, why am I spending all this time?
The love of music,
It's
I
just
think,
pure
trumps
love.
all. Yeah, and I think it's part of the desire to be the best too.
A little pride, a little pressure, a little
yeah.
passion, a little everything,
Yeah.
I guess.
But that's how they survive. So in the future, if arts get appreciated less and less, you'll see more and more of them going bankrupt because they aren't getting the donations and charities that they were. So there you go. All orchestras are surviving purely on donations.
Wow. Like, I always had a suspicion that some of the smaller ones you'd assume.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize the big ones that you think of
Yeah.
are also.
Maybe
Wow.
maybe in Austria because like Austrian people are refined. But
Even then I wouldn't be surprised. You know,
yeah.
it's
And I'm not sure, I shouldn't say all because I haven't done really any research, but I know for a fact that the Minnesota Orchestra does not make any money off of themselves alone. It's all donations. So that's why musicians get paid poorly. That's kind of the meme in the music community, is that musicians don't get paid jack shit because they don't, because they're surviving off of the bare minimum.
wow. Crazy, dude. Speaking of meme, I know that's not the transition point
This
you
is the
want.
sickest meme.
Well,
Right.
you mentioned about stereotypes of musicians.
Yeah.
Are there, when I think of stereotypes of musicians, I'm kind of drawing a blank because I haven't been around a ton of musicians. But what are some of the common ones that people think of? Like, what's the difference between a trombone player and a trumpet player? What's the difference between a flute player and, piccolo? I don't.
There's like an unspoken rivalry between brass players. Each brass
For people, obviously people are listening. His face is lighting up. It is so funny to look at because he's like, his eyebrows are raised, the smile's going like those dirty horn sections.
Yeah, so each brass instrument thinks they're the best, and they are so eager to prove it to other brass sections. And for trombones, their definition of best is playing the loudest.
Oh.
And so that's kind of the meme.
Oh.
That is the meme because they can. Trombone is probably the loudest instrument, one of the loudest, if not the loudest.
Is there an instrument that annoys you if it's overused? This is the fun time where I get to put you under the microscope.
Man,
not saying it's bad. I'm just saying if people are like, we need more of this, we need more chimes. Is there something?
Chimes are awesome.
Yeah,
you can't be dissing the chimes.
No, you can't diss chimes. But is there one that you're like, God, I don't want to hear a piccolo for another month, otherwise I'm going to strangle someone?
See, the thing about woodwinds, and I'm just going to generalize the whole section, is that they sound really great, and they are impossible to play in tune.
Oh, okay.
So it hurts sometimes listening to them.
We need to vote them off the island?
No, they're great. Yeah. All the woodwind players here are great, but a bad woodwind section sure does.
Oh, it can ruin the day.
Sure does change things, and it's not necessarily the player's fault because those things are nightmares. Have you seen them? They are complicated instruments.
Name one.
The saxophone.
Yep. Okay.
The saxophone for the longest time, I looked at that and I was like, how does anyone play that monstrosity? There's million
so many
buttons.
valves.
They're not valves.
What are they called?
That is sacrilege. Don't say that. They are keys and they are pads. Bad.
He's yelling. He's like waving the finger like the Spanish Inquisition. I need to like hide or something.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Well, this is why I got it. This is why I'm here. Otherwise, I'm committing sacrilege all over.
Or I like to call them buttons.
The button.
They are the buttons. And there's a million buttons. And I don't know how, because I don't know if you know this about the saxophone, but there's like 3 or 4 different fingerings for B flat. And they are all used in different situations, and they are all slightly off pitch. And so you have to change your, the fancy word, embouchure, how you put your mouth around it.
That's what it's called?
Yes.
Wow,
You have to
embouchure.
change. You have to change your embouchure to change the pitch to correct it. So you have to have a good ear. And it's a nightmare, especially if you play super high, because the overtone series, Google it, is out of tune. The overtone series is where we got our scale from, more or less. So yeah, and it gets out of tune the higher it goes. So yeah, it's not ideal, as Vincent would say.
Yeah, cousin Vinny, not ideal. With the old OK sign. Yeah, not ideal.
Not ideal.
Not ideal. Good T-shirt though.
I want that T-shirt.
I would wear that T-shirt.
I'd wear the hell out of that T-shirt.
Yeah, that and the Candace logo on the back.
That'd be a good one.
Just, I don't even want it. I don't want, I made him a bunch of new like logos today because I got carried away. I think I showed you them.
Yeah,
at the table.
You did.
I was like, oh, that's kind of fun to design some. And he was like, I'm still a minimalist. I'm like, does this mean you're just going to keep your thumbnail? And I'm like, probably. I'm like, good. That's a good thing. I love his thumbnail. It makes me like think, yeah, this is going to be a good time.
Because it's a cologne. It looks like a cologne.
It does.
It looks like one.
Candace with Vincent.
Candace with Vincent. And it's like the black label with the super simple white font. It looks like a cologne.
Oh, it does.
And that's why it's charming.
I love that.
Ladies love it.
It's a great podcast. Great podcast. I know it's only episode 2, but still, I laughed.
It's a good one. The first episode shouldn't even count. Don't even say.
No, it really isn't. It shouldn't. It was a test. He should relabel them, but I'm not in charge of him.
For those that don't know, the first podcast is 11 seconds.
Yeah. Well, did he tell you that me and him run ideas off each other? He was like, I can't tell how many views I've gotten because you have to listen for over 60 seconds in order for it to be a view. So it's literally impossible to know.
He did tell me about
how many people have listened.
He did tell me about that. That was a good one.
I thought that was hilarious, dude. But, oh my gosh. I'm trying to think just where we were before, because it's like, God.
I don't know. We were talking about music memes and stereotypes.
What's the stereotype for a flute player? Because every time I watch a movie, the flute is always like this crazy woman. And it's always different depending on the movie I'm in. It's either a really serious person. It's always usually a woman, too. It's always a serious woman or just crazy kooky cat lady.
All right, let's get stereotypical.
Okay, yeah, because obviously we do not agree with these stereotypes for the most part, because you've actually been in the stands.
I've got a good meme that I just came up with just now.
Oh, no.
So, those female studiers that study for like 10 hours and then get a 64? That's a flute player. Are you good?
Well, I know that one. I have names.
That would be my stereotype of a flute player, because they're the hardest workers, and it still doesn't work out sometimes. Yeah. But no, that's not true. They're good.
Is it just painful to like master and figure out? When you're learning a new piece, it just takes you 3 times as long to learn it.
So, flute literature has the unfortunate effect of being dumb, in the sense that brass players have it so easy. Yeah. So brass players have it so easy, especially low brass, because it's like, here's a whole note. Here's another whole note. Mm-hmm. We will play loud here. And then flute players are like, here's this freaking pentuplet that I have to hit perfectly in time for 60 measures, and I can't do it wrong, or it will sound bad. And I have to do that forever and ever and ever. And if I lose focus, you can tell the difference. So I have to be constantly focused in doing this monotonous task for probably 3 minutes straight. It's so impressive. Yeah, like we'll sit there and our conductor will, I'm not going to name drop him even though he's a legend. He's
We'll just call him that.
We'll call him Legend.
The Legend.
He's named after a legend too.
Ooh.
What?
I just said ooh.
Oh, okay.
Like ooh, spicy.
He'll be
Spicy.
like, it's just that easy, flutes, just do that. And then he just like, all right, go on.
Oh my god.
And that's it. And the same with the clarinets. Clarinets are like that too.
Okay.
But flutes, I think it's just so much more impressive because every other instrument has a mouthpiece. And so it does some of the work for you. Whereas the flute, the mouthpiece is created by your lips when you blow through it. So you have to be
You gotta
on
be
it.
good.
You got to be on it.
What would you say is the hardest instrument to play
In
in the orchestra?
It's an unfair question, I think,
Okay.
because some instruments are easy in some aspects and challenging in others. I would say woodwinds are probably the easiest in terms of getting notes out, but they are probably the hardest to master in terms of fingering and intonation, which is what I was talking about, where you have to adjust for the imprecise tuning, because no matter how you do it, it's not going to be precise. But yeah, I would say probably strings for me would be the hardest, because you won't sound good as a string player until you're like 5th year of playing.
I'm glad you say that, because I got a very good friend of mine is picking up the violin, and she's very uneasy about starting. And I was like, it takes a long time.
It does, because the thing about the violin is that you have to be so artful for it to sound good. It's so easy to just put your bow up and go. It is a wonder that people are good at it at all, and yeah, it's amazing to me.
It blew my mind because my high school had a string orchestra of 4 people that played violin together.
Yeah.
It was insane. But 2 of the people that were in it were sisters, and both of their parents had played in high-level orchestras. I don't remember, so I don't want to speculate. But I was amazed because one of them pulled out the bill for what it cost to fix a violin. They fly it to New York.
I bet you'd be surprised as to what's the most expensive wind instrument is.
Shoot.
The bassoon is probably the most expensive.
Really?
I don't want to say it is, because I'm sure there's
somebody that's really fucked up a trombone somewhere.
There's some nuts like 15th century violin, like the Stradivarius violins, like an original Stradivarius is probably $1 million. But I wouldn't count that. I'm gonna say no. I'm not gonna say like some specialty like this was Beethoven's piano, right? So it's like,
so there's a historical tag on it too, other than being a musical instrument.
Yeah. So I would say like a baseline model, like for out of all the baseline models, and I'm not saying baseline, I'm saying like professional, because professional instruments are often custom and that wraps up the price. But I'm going to say the baseline of a professional model of all the instruments, the bassoon is the most expensive. And I want to see what you think it costs. And I hope you don't way overshoot it, because then it's going to make it look dumb. But
I don't know where to go and start. Like, I know, like, the only number I know consistently about musical instruments is, like, renting them is so expensive. Like, violins, I know it's, like, you can rent them for, like, a couple months for, like, starting out at $500 for some of them. You can go, like, 6 or 7 months for $500.
All right. Hold on to your sweatpants, folks.
Oh, no.
Ben is wearing sweatpants.
I am wearing sweatpants, and it's very informal. These are nice pants.
This is your dojo, you know. Drum roll, $30,000.
Shut the fuck up.
$30,000.
Oh my god.
It's to the point where it's like, would you rather have a car or a bassoon?
Car.
Like, some cellos might be more expensive, but I'm talking wind instruments, so instruments that you blow air through to get noise.
Oh my god.
$30,000, up to $50,000 for some brands.
And
all of that comes in its manufacture because it's made out of wood. And it's a very specific type, and that wood is slowly becoming extinct. Like, there's obvious preservations because bassoon companies want to keep making bassoons, right? So they're not going to go extinct. But the prices will keep going up.
You've floored me, dude.
And it has to...
oh, my God.
Good ones are one or two pieces of wood, and they're so easy to crack because the wood is so hard that any minor adjustments will cause it to crack. All the keys and pads will be made out of silver or platinum sometimes, which is debatable. I think they do make a difference in sound, but it's debatable if it's worth it.
God.
Yeah, $30,000 is, I would say, a moderately conservative number.
You just blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Oh my.
A professional trombone, not custom. The most expensive one I've seen is $6,000, which in perspective is not a lot.
No, compared to $30,000 for a nice bassoon.
And professional trumpet is probably $4,000.
Okay.
Flutes can get expensive too.
I can understand a flute.
Flutes would match because you can get platinum plated flutes, and those can be expensive. Those might actually be more expensive than $30,000.
What does the platinum do to the sound? Like, what would be the initiative to get it? I would assume it's for sound.
Other than a hard flex, there is a little bit of a difference because obviously changing the material will change the sound.
Okay.
I can't tell you what it does, but I'm guessing it's probably not worth it that much. You'll see solid silver flutes, which can get expensive, and those are actually probably the most professional. Platinum is debatable whether it's worth it, but most orchestras, most flute players in orchestras will have silver or silver plated flutes.
Okay. You just gotta give me a minute here, man. That's intense.
You didn't know that?
No, God, I don't know half the stuff coming out of your mouth, man. I don't, and the other half I'm clueless about. Like I've known of it, but I have no idea what goes into it. Wow.
I'm amazed that you're that amazed.
Dude,
it's just
you
so
could
normal
buy
to
a
me.
car. What do you want me to say? You want me
Yeah.
to say, like, seems like a good investment? No, like, you could buy a car. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm going to college that my view of money is different.
No, $30,000, unless you're Bill Gates, is kind of a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
Even if you're making a career out of it. What can
I
you make a
gotta move my
career out
mic.
of that you're spending $30,000 to make?
Sorry, I'm going to move my mic because I've gotten so excited. I've bumped my mic down. This is why I'm excited to learn, man. This is like
This is a
it.
good
I
one.
get a kick out of the little things, you know?
It's my favorite. It's actually my little anecdotes are my favorite. I don't give a shit about the big picture. I like the little stories, right?
Yeah.
Like
They're the best.
I had to do a presentation about Somali culture, and I was like, yeah, it's interesting, the broad history. But then I was like, did you know that if you compliment a thing in a Somali's household, they will offer it to you on demand?
What?
Did you know that?
No.
And it's not because they want to give it to you. It's because they value generosity and honor so highly that if you compliment it, they assume you want it and will offer it to you, even if they don't want to give it to you. And I think that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Right?
You know what I found out? I'll give an anecdote back to you about Somali culture.
Give it to me.
They call their neighbors or anybody who is retired aunt or uncle. Because
I didn't know that too.
That one I've actually seen happen, and it's you call your neighbor aunt or uncle because there's such a strong community vibe that goes on between them.
All right, I'm gonna shoot one back at you,
dude.
Let's just have a dick measuring contest about anecdotes about Somali culture. Did you know? I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh,
I had such a good one.
Yeah.
I got it back.
No,
I got
please.
it back.
Go ahead.
Somalis don't do acquaintances. They consider strangers immediate friends and will actually because I would say we're friends, and I would say this is like this is how friends talk, right? Like they open up about how they feel and what they think, right? They do that right away to people they just meet.
Really?
They don't do acquaintances. People are immediate friends.
Wow.
And it can be very shocking if you're from the Western
Yeah, I'm sure.
aspect of privacy, because you'll be like, oh, you're telling me your grandma died and you're feeling really upset about it? You're like, cool, I just met you. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
but
kind of
that's
goes through the
very
bubble.
normal for them. They are the kind of people that have you ever been to like the supermarket and you're just standing in line and some guy will just strike up a conversation with you?
Yeah.
That's their whole life. And honestly, I wish it was kind of more like that here, and I wish I was more like that, because I'm a conversationalist with people I know, but I'm the shyest person in like situations.
No, I got that.
And I wish I was more like that, where I could just
strike it up.
strike it up, make friends just like that, right? Like,
yeah. And have you ever sat in the back of a classroom and you look around and you think that would be a nice person to know? Like, they'd be a nice friend.
I have done that.
And you just want to walk up and say hi.
But you can't.
You can't.
I've had moments where I was like, I wonder how much more I would enjoy this class if I actually talked to the people in it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my classes, especially, and here's a tip for people, get to your class the first day 15 minutes early so you can sit and talk with people before the class starts. Because if you're like me and you get there like 2 minutes before, everyone's talking and you just have to sit in the back of the class and wait for the class to start,
Mm-hmm.
you quickly become the kid in the back of the class that no one talks to.
Yeah.
Get there early and make sure you talk to people, because if you don't,
it kind of screws the whole semester. It really can.
Like I have talked with people and I've made acquaintances, right? But I don't know. Like, I'm not at the point where I could like see them at the reef or whatever and be like, oh, hey, what's up? And like talk to them in line. Like, I'm not at that point, but I don't know.
I feel bad because I get to this point where I feel I have to acknowledge that I know you, because I feel bad if I ignore you. Well, I'm more social. I know I'm a little more outgoing because I'm a comm major. But at the same time, I have the worst tendencies to acknowledge people. It's like a head nod.
Yeah.
It's like, sup?
Yeah.
Head nod. And people are like, is he just saying yes? Like, what is he doing? Like, is he looking at me? I don't know how people read. And then I do my weird hang loose Hawaiian thing all the time, because that's a natural go-to thing for me.
I got my
And people don't know what that means most of the time. They're like, what are you doing? Do you want me to call you? Like, what does this mean? I'm like, no, it means hang loose. Like, have a good time. Like, relax. I hope you're at ease. Sick, bro.
Sick, bro.
It's totally gnarly. We're riding the Pearl 5s on the 9.8.
Dope.
But here's the thing. I could be, like, further from the surfer bro stereotype. You look at me, the only thing I love is sharks. I'm going to get a giant... This is a side note.
All
I
right.
know this will make it. I have a wall in the studio.
Yeah, you do.
Because, I got 4 of them.
Yeah,
but,
you do. And a window.
And a window, too. It's very beautiful in this studio. But one of the walls, because 3 walls are made out of brick, and this one is made out of wood, because originally this used to be a dorm with a door in it. So it was like a suite.
Yeah.
So they took that door out, and they had to reconstruct part of the wall. So some of it is covered in wood, and things don't stick up there as well.
Yeah.
And this, I don't know this material.
Are you sure that's wood?
Something.
I'm going to expand your mind.
Go.
I'm not sure because I can't feel it.
We'll check it out afterwards, because it chips. It chips out. And there's something below it, too. There is some sort of wood framing below.
Okay. I was going to say, because if you're looking at the wood grain and the lines, that might just be the concrete forms they used.
Yeah.
So
probably.
Because at least the ceiling is definitely concrete.
Believe it or not, there's wood in there, too.
Oh, I don't doubt that there's also wood in there, but like the ceiling is like...
It's got covering. It's covered in concrete.
And so...
We're living in a big concrete box.
Yeah, that, like, the grain that you see might just be the concrete forms. And concrete forms, for those that aren't construction savvy like me, worked in a lumber yard for 2 years. Let's go. Concrete forms are the box that you put concrete in to give them the shape you want.
Oh, okay.
So...
All right. So probably, yeah.
So they might have laid this thing like on top and then poured concrete and then just taken the wood off.
Oh, okay.
And then so that's why it looks like that. I'm not sure. I don't know how it was built.
But
But
it is
it is a plausible explanation, like the UFOs and Bigfoot.
Most of the time, there's an answer.
There is a plausible explanation, and it's usually that it exists, right?
Yeah.
Hashtag
Believe in
Sasquatch.
aliens. Hashtag I'm squatching you.
Squatting with the squatch, boy.
But to get back, I'm gonna get a giant shark poster. I think across there.
That'd be lit.
Because I love, I was going to study sharks forever, and I wanted to do it. I was like, I'm going to get a giant Mako shark.
Follow your dreams.
Follow my dreams.
Follow
Get a
your
shark
dreams.
poster.
I'm going to find my childhood Scooby-Doo towel, and I'm going to hang it in your room.
Yes. Dude.
It is like a foot by 2.5 feet. It is tiny because it is a child's towel.
Is it? Well, if you
And
bring
it's
it into the studio,
lit.
man, you should. You should. I love just like having fun things around. Like I've got a Danny DeVito picture. People always ask me when they record. And people, if they want to see this, it's on the Instagram. You can see it in the background of some of the pictures we take in the room.
Shameless plug.
Shameless
The
plug.
gram.
The gram. Go to the Ben Griffin Podcast on Instagram or Twitter. But we have Danny DeVito. I've got like 2 basketballs.
You were talking to me about those.
The basketballs I
ones that
won
you
in a
won.
shooting contest. Yeah. And then me and Ben, who came on the backcourt on Sunday, we held them up for the first time. I was like, oh, that could be like a nice prop. Then I got the Muhammad Ali Sonny Liston because I loved Sonny Liston's story, and then Muhammad Ali kind of stepping over. And it's an incredible story. You got the world map, that big old Irish flag my mother gave me because, Griffin.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. What's his nuts? Alistair.
Oh, that's, yeah.
He was unfairly kicked out.
He was going to be on the first podcast ever. And he fell asleep and he slept right through it. For people that don't know who this is,
him.
Yeah, for people that don't know who we're talking about, Alistair was a friend of ours. My first year here after I transferred, so my junior year, and of course you got to know him as well.
You're a junior?
My junior year was last year. I'm a senior this year. I transferred in.
Really?
Yeah. I don't look it. I know.
What the heck?
Yeah, I'm leaving this year, if you can believe that.
I'm sad now.
I know.
You made me a sad individual.
Well, this is why I'm trying to take as much time out of my, my usual schedule to spend time with you guys and get it all out and make
I'll be there
podcasts
for
and
the
stuff.
commencement.
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
I'm required, and I'll get paid for it. I'm a musician.
you're such a big-hearted, jackass.
Pop the champagne, boy. People did last year.
Oh, it is true. It is true. The commencement and everything coming up. It's like, wow, I can't believe you're gonna have to step out into the world and actually do what I've been practicing for 4 years.
Yeah,
But I'm excited.
Did you know that seniors are actually more depressed than freshmen? Did you know
Really? How so?
that? Alex told me.
Yeah, he
Through
was on
his
the
knowledge.
last show. Yeah, he was on the
Through-
last show, so
yeah.
you're hitting perfect timing.
Through his knowledge and working through security, he's aware that seniors are more depressed because they had all this structure in school, and now they're at the end, and now the field is so open that people don't know what to do. So now they won't have a meal plan or a housing plan. They will have to find a place to live, find a job. And I hope I'm not scaring you right now, Ben.
You're not. I have
Existential
terrible thoughts
crisis
at night.
time. Existential crisis time with Ben. Catch it here first
On the pod.
on the pod. But yeah, it's the most probably exciting and terrifying time in people's lives is that there's no restraint anymore, right?
Yeah. I've thought about it. I know you're
Yeah.
definitely hitting a chord with me
Yeah.
because I remember my mom and I were talking. It's like, would you ever consider? It wasn't said like to
Yeah.
be sly or anything. I
Yeah.
was like, I'd probably go get my master's, but I'd still be working and all that stuff. But she's like, when would you like to set a goal? Have a goal of when you want your own place, so you have something to work for.
For sure.
And I was like, God, all of a sudden you're on the back hill. You don't know what to say. It's like having my own place. I've never imagined it. I will say this though, being an RA, having my own space
Yeah.
has definitely set me up a little bit more to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Like I go out, I get my own food usually, and I cook a lot of times in the dorm. I can readjust. like look at this place.
Look at this kitchen space over here.
Yeah, obvious kitchen space. Spacious. It's a spacious place.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I feel like what was the cook? Shoot, that went to prison.
Chef Boyardee.
R.I.P. Boyardee. No, was it Barbara Stewart that went to prison? It was. I don't use horizontal blinds with horizontal bars. Like that kind of stuff. It's like this place could sometimes look like a prison, but it's I got this big window, so it's I got plants and stuff to try to lighten the room up a bit, but try to keep life because I get guests like you coming in here. You want to look
herbs.
Good.
Grow your own herbs when you cook.
That is true. That is a really good tip, actually.
But if you want to feel successful about your life,
grow stuff that you can eat.
So we'll go back to the legend, right?
Yeah.
Legend,
bring this back.
I'm gonna meme on him. The legend is on his 6th potted plant in his office because the last 5 have died.
Oh no!
And he's like, "Yeah, I just don't water it." And then I was like, "You should name it because I've heard if you name them, you'll take better care of them." And he's like, "I did that with the last one."
Oh no!
Oh yeah. So,
I want to meet this man,
Ben.
Oh God!
What have you named your potted plant to your right?
This one here.
Yep.
This one's Reginald.
Did you just make that up, or is that
no
actually
Reginald
a name?
von Matterhorn?
Could you explain?
No.
Okay.
No.
If it's personal, we won't have to get into it.
No. You want to know the reason? And
I do.
This will bring a smile. My sister had a goldfish, one of those beta fish.
Yeah.
For 3 days, and we named it Reggie.
Yeah. What a lit name.
Yeah, I know, right? She went salt of the earth, Reginald.
Yeah.
What up? It made it a day and a half, and it started to float to the top of the tank. So she's like, I have to clean the bowl. It's got to be something in the water because it can't breathe or something.
Yeah.
So she cleans the bowl. She puts it away, puts him back in the bowl. He starts swimming just fine. He goes another day. He's fine. She wakes up on the 3rd day. He is dead as a doornail.
Ooh.
He is gone.
He's a goner.
And his name was Reggie. And because we only had him 3 days, that name has solemnly been taken in my family as the name that will never go anywhere else. Like it just things that we don't expect to live for a very long time, we name Reggie. So this is Reginald.
Reggie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, it's Reggie because it's a plant and I probably won't do a very good job with it. This plant to my right, listeners are just going to have to deal with this. But it's
just imagine
it's healthy.
a plant.
It's doing great.
Imagine
but the
a
one
nice
to your left, I believe, is not doing great. And that one's because, well, if you look at the soil and the actual pot that it's in, it's too small. There's nowhere for the roots to go.
Calling it a pot is kind of an overstatement, not going to lie.
Well, read what it says on the pot.
It looks like a coffee mug.
Yeah.
And the coffee mug says, "Give me the dirt." Your plant is too big for the pot. That is Herbology 101.
Yep. That was what came with it. I bought the plant, and then they were like, "Oh, you get this deal on the pot." So I'm like, "Oh, I'll just use that pot." And I got here, and I was like, "This doesn't fit." So I had to do some serious reworking of the soil, and it just made a mess.
You might have to upgrade from a cup to a mug. I'll tell you that.
Hey, if you finish that mug of water.
This mug?
We could do a little, greenhouse help in there. No, that's a good mug. I like that mug.
I'm just going to fucking whip it at the wall now.
Oh, my God.
You can't have nice things, Ben.
Can I bring up one thing that we were talking about before? Because I thought it was really interesting. Is you were talking to me about kids that are bad at math.
Yeah.
That the reason that a lot of them are bad at math is because teachers give up on them, and they just give up. Because no one believes in them. Could you kind of go back to that? Because I think that's something that's kind of fascinating in a way.
It can be a dark topic, but we can go into there.
We love dark topics at the Ben Griffin Podcast.
Future educator talk now. I talked to this with one of my roommates, Isaiah. He's on the first podcast, right?
Yep, he'll be coming back, I think, pretty soon.
The return of the king.
Oh God, yeah, that one's one of those podcasts where I know him so well and I see him so often. It's like you know, I know them so well. It becomes less of a podcast and more like a hangout. So I got to make sure I really prep for those because I get nervous about those the most.
Chilling.
is when you're just chilling, and that they don't just drown, out the real content. So continue though.
So I was talking with Isaiah, and he was, I don't know how we got on the topic, but we were talking about like kids, I don't know, like kids who are like, fuck it, I'll just drop out and sell drugs or some shit. And I was like, yeah, so those kids were probably given up on, and that's what I was that was the segue.
Yeah.
And I was like, teachers have such a great responsibility to young students, because depending on how they set them up will basically decide the trajectory of their life, which is a very heavy thing and a very real responsibility that teachers have, is that like it or not, kids are better at some things and worse at others. And for some, I think Ben talked to me earlier about English not being his strong suit. And it's not that he can't be good at English, it's that it just takes longer than the school system gave him time to do it, right? And as a result of that, what motivation do you have to continue English, right? There's no
Well, it's funny because it pissed me off to be bad at English, and I ended up going into writing a lot more.
Yeah.
And I tried to break every rule I could.
And some kids take that as a form of motivation, and some kids throw in the towel. And it's not to say that they're being cowardly or lazy. It's that for some reason or another, math is too complicated, or something that they need to really break down more than they were. And math is a great example, because if you never learn how to do 2 + 2, how are you supposed to do 2 - 2? And how are you supposed to do 2 / 2? And how are you supposed to do 2 × 2? And then, how are you supposed to do that?
It's a domino effect.
It really is. And if you're left behind early on and nobody wants to give you the time of day to catch you up, why would you? Especially as a kid, when in school, when you're so pressured to be successful, when you're not successful right away, you don't try anymore, because why would you focus on something you're not successful at? And when instead you can go, well, I'm really good at, I don't know, football. I'll make that my thing, right? I'll make that my thing. I won't do school. I'll do football. I won't do math. I'll do science. I love science. It's like, it's that sort of thing. And if you're a student that is just a slower learner in general, and I don't want to mean slow as in dumb, I mean slow as in you just need more time. It's just how it is. Like, that's just how your brain processes things. If you're abandoned and people assume that you can't, or you're lazy and you don't want to, you're going to be left behind. And that's just the sad reality of education systems all over the globe. And it's a tricky subject, because you don't want to hold back the top students and you don't want to leave behind the bottom students, but what do? You can't have both. At least not right now, you can't have both. There's probably a system, but yeah. And you can't always blame the teacher either, because they're given a set of standards that they have to meet. And if they don't meet it, they're out of a job. So what do? Do you take the extra time and not hit points you're supposed to cover, or just leave them behind and hope that you can tutor, or they can catch up on their own, or somewhere it's made up? So that's a sad reality of education, especially in elementary.
Wow. No, yeah. Sorry again, my voice. Yeah, no, it's one of those things, though, that you're happy you have some sort of grasp on what's going on and where you came out of.
Yeah.
And knowing that there probably were teachers that were like, I need to make up and have this many students get through my class and pass.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's in my contract to have no less than 5 students fail.
Yeah.
And to cut corners is a very human and very real thing that happens that we pretend doesn't. And it certainly happens in education, and I think we forget about that a lot.
Yeah, teachers are still human. And for every, say, bad decision a teacher makes, there's a million good decisions that have positively affected someone. I would wager everyone at this college and everyone at any college has no idea how hard every single one of their teachers fought for them. And it's sad that they couldn't fight hard enough for some, but be happy that they fought hard enough for us, right?
Yeah.
It's, like some of my favorite teachers affected me in a great personal way as well. And it's honestly amazing how much it can affect you.
Yeah. No, it is crazy just the impact people can have on your life and those simple things, and well, especially from teachers. It's usually the little things. I will say that I'm also on the other side of the fence where I've had teachers that pissed me off so bad that it made me want to prove something.
Oh yeah.
And I can still name off the teachers that I didn't, hate's too strong of a word, but that I thought were just, if they actually took the time to look at me, they could see that I was starving for help and I wanted to do something better than they realized I was capable of.
Yeah.
And
it
definitely made me
that.
a better human being, though. I think there is something funny about suffering that makes us better people. And it's a lot of times coming through, not all of it, obviously, but that type of getting a drive from somebody passing you by puts you in a position that your mind either alters itself and turns it up, turns you on turbo, or
builds character,
or you shut down. You either build or you collapse.
It builds character. Hard work builds character.
Yeah.
It has been drilled into my mind and a lot of other minds especially in Stearns County. Hard work builds character. And, and that's usually said in a jest, you're doing some real shitty job and it's 110 degrees out.
Yeah.
And you're not getting a break for another 4 hours and you're dying of thirst. And then the other people you're working with just smile and say, builds character. And that's all you hear about it.
No.
But it's true.
That's very true.
It's true. The hardest things you have done in your life is probably arguably the most important thing you've done in your life.
Yeah. No, it's just something to kind of lean back and think about. I would rather not dive down that rabbit hole because I feel like we talk in circles, but it'd be fun to talk to you about it, but probably not for the pod. But I want to take a quick right turn, and I think we'll take this as our last topic for the evening because I'm sure you're a busy man. I want to save some thoughts to have you back at some point. Yeah, I know.
This is quick. This is a quick.
I know it goes by fast.
It's like 2 hours, right? Yeah. It was like 8. Well, we probably started like.
We're at 1:37 currently.
Yeah, that was quick.
Yeah, it goes by fast. But you're from Stearns County.
I am.
This
from
is
Stearns
a lighter-hearted
County.
topic I want to talk to you about.
Let's go.
There is a strong heritage of German here, and you know already what I'm going to ask.
I'm very proud.
What is up with the teaching German and kids speaking German just openly around Stearns County? I will say I have also, I'm going to be buying a book here my uncle recommended me.
Yeah.
About Avon liquor, about when speakeasies were going on, that this was one of the places that made liquor. There were 2 spots, Avon, and people knew the difference between the two. Avon made a particular kind of liquor and sent it to speakeasies down in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And the reason my uncle told me this is because my family was the runners. We ran a lot of that liquor. So I just kind of wanted your thoughts on the area and what was going on, and it just
give
us the character, because it really is a character of a place.
We're a very proud people. You could say that. Mm-hmm. I like to talk up Stearns County for all of its faults.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's fine.
But I actually know multiple families that have made their own moonshine and still, to this day, still make their own moonshine in the woods, in distilleries. I'm not kidding.
I think I got an idea of one family. We won't say.
I think I know. Are you talking about the king?
We're talking about the king.
We're talking about the king. I
The
got
king.
that.
Yeah.
I got that. Yeah, they make moonshine and they do it.
That's.
It's amazing, right?
It feels like we're in Kentucky. Like when I sat down.
Because when you think about moonshining, you always think Kentucky, Tennessee, in the middle of the bayou or whatever,
I think of
right?
NASCAR because that's where NASCAR came from. Was from runners of moonshine.
Yeah, that's what you think about. But the whole legacy of Minnesota 13, right, and in Chicago and the whole thing, yeah, it was right here. Stearns County was actually a very big moonshine production.
Yep, and I knew that like famous gangsters had been up here.
Yep.
Because of
what's the famous one? Al Capone.
Al Capone definitely had.
Yep.
He had a summer house in Wisconsin.
Yep. I'm gonna sidetrack a little bit.
Dude.
We'll go right back to Stearns County. Wait, did you know that a shit ton of famous people have lake houses in Brainerd?
Really?
Fucking Brainerd. Fucking Brainerd. Okay. Probably. I'm gonna talk some shit.
You know,
I'm gonna
you've
say
earned it.
I'm gonna say it's probably one of the worst cities in Minnesota. I'm not gonna say it's bad because Brainerd is awesome, but I would say out of all of them, I would rank it last. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I should have
Don't incriminate me about that, but yeah. I've met some very awesome people from Brainerd, but
No, usually the people are nice.
yeah, I don't know. There's just something. It's just the vibe. It's just the vibe of the town. It does not vibe with me. I would say St. Cloud is second worst because driving in St. Cloud is tantamount to torture.
Oh, I don't like
It
the
is
road
psychological torture.
Mm-mm.
I hate it. But once you learn all the little secrets,
Yeah, you got it.
You got it. But yeah, I don't know. Brainerd just does not vibe with me. But famous people like in the Brainerd Lakes area, like Tom Cruise, I think, has a lake house. A bunch of famous actors do.
I didn't know that.
It's
Wow.
kind of surprising, isn't it? I've heard.
Really?
I don't actually. I might be making this completely up,
Well,
but I swear I've heard this multiple times from reputable sources. And you know what? I feel like famous people would do that, not for Brainerd, but for the lakes.
A lot of famous people get lake houses on Wisconsin properties.
Yeah,
Jim Gaffigan's got one. The comedian, he's got one.
I think
his
he's
wife's
overrated. Side note.
Wow. Oh, strong.
Destroyed.
His wife was from Milwaukee, so they got a place here. J.J. Watt and the whole family has a huge lake house where he lives
Well,
here,
Yeah, that's fair.
but he's from the area. And then there was one more. I can't reach it right now. I'll probably figure it out at some other point. But there's a surprising amount of people that come to the Midwest.
To the Midwest, right?
Like I'm amazed by it, and a lot of people that go to Canada too. Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto's a big growing city.
I
Apparently.
think it's the natural beauty of the area.
Yeah.
Like if you drive through Brainerd, like you take the normal highways, you're like, yeah, whatever, these pine trees are cool, and you take some back roads, and you're like, damn, this is a Bob Ross painting right now.
Yeah, and you're winding through it, losing your
yeah.
mind over how many right, left turns.
Right, left, windy turns, and all of a sudden you turn a corner, and boom, you are literally like in the most pristine thing you've ever seen.
It's insane.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to Stearns County.
Please, I want to know more about
Hard U-turn back.
Going from pristine wildlife and nature, Stearns County.
Now we'll have pristine humans.
Oh, beautiful humans.
Absolute beauties.
Yeah. One
You-
may say legends.
One may say, there's a meme in Stearns County where it's like you can't marry anyone that's native to Stearns County because they're probably your cousin.
God.
And that's honestly kind of true. Here's a wild fact about myself.
I'm worried where this is going.
I have 12 aunts and uncles on one side, and I think it's 13 on the other. You know how bad it is that you don't even know the number? It's somewhere between the range of 11 and 13. So I'm going to say 12 with a confidence interval of 1. On both sides. I'm not sure of either number. So Now think of all of those individual families from all 24-ish of my aunts and uncles, and think of all of like their families, and think of like all of the in-laws. I swear to God, I'm cousins with Brady. Did you know that?
I did, actually.
I'm cousins with Brady.
Who will be on soon.
I'm pretty sure I'm cousins with Isaiah, and very distant with Alex, maybe.
You just
Isn't
have to
that
dig
nuts?
long enough. Yeah, no.
It's crazy. And I didn't know like any of that until my dad was like, yeah, your grandma was this, and that your grandma had a sister who branched off here, and as a result, you are related to Brady. And I was like, oh, cool.
That's one door closed.
Isn't it crazy? Yeah. Yeah. So that is a meme. But to go back to the German thing,
that part fascinates me.
Like
because it's like Amish. Like when I'm around Amish people, they speak like
really
Dutch or German or wherever their the language of their ancestors was from. They'll speak that in front of you so that you don't hear their personal conversation. Or if it's just like a family matter, it's like, oh, go help your sister do this. They'll speak in Dutch.
Yeah.
And it's always like it's
not that bad.
It's not bad. It's just like, oh, we're switching lanes all of a sudden. You know, like wow, okay. And Stearns County,
it's not
people
that
do it.
Bad.
No, in Stearns County, it's not that bad. But it's funny when I go to like, I don't know, like a grocery store, and I'll hear people say phrases in German, and I'm like, what is this? Where am I?
You already know.
I know, but the audience doesn't.
So I'll tell a story to kind of provide an example of what Ben is talking about. I had friends over. My grandma had recently died, and me and my friends were doing a group project, but all my aunts and uncles were there drinking moonshine.
Of course. What else would they be drinking?
And you know, just having a big family gathering, because it was between the funeral and and her death. And so there was like a big planning thing, and you know, which was very weird. I would have expected people to be sad, but yeah, it was all laughing. And Stearns County has this affection of fermented wheat beverages, to the point where it's almost a miniature currency.
Really? I didn't know that.
My dad, he's a woodworker. I talked about that.
Yeah.
Actually, did I on the podcast? I talked about the
banjo.
Yeah,
you were talking about him making the banjo, and you were talking about your time working.
So he likes to make cutting boards. I have one of his cutting boards that he made for me in my apartment.
I think I've seen that.
I actually partly made that. Like he glued it together, but I sanded it and did all the things.
Dude.
But anyway, so he makes cutting boards for people, or we have a barn that like he lets people like winterize boats or RVs there, and he insists that people don't pay him. So what they do is they go into his wood shop and go into his fridge and plant 2 or 3 cases of beer in his fridge, and that's how they pay him. Yeah.
I don't know whether I love or find that strange.
That's a very common thing that happens in Stearns County, is that people, to show their appreciation, will buy people cases of beers and sneak them into their fridge. It happens all of the time. You can ask Leo, maybe not ask Alex, because Alex's father is has become sober.
Okay.
So alcohol is not really a thing in his family.
Okay.
I mean, his brothers can pound some beers, but like that kind of culture is not really there anymore. But Brady's family, Isaiah's family is probably like that. That's how people do it.
I wanted to sit everyone down from Stearns because there's times at the table, like Isaiah and the cats, which is coming. That's coming another day.
Yeah, there's just weird stories sometimes.
Well, I love it because it's like a microcosm right in the dead center of Minnesota, where when you come into Stearns, things are just familiar enough. The people are great, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But things are just similar enough that you're like, okay, yeah, I can get along here. and then there's a few like little things.
There's a little subculture, right?
Yeah, there's a little undercurrent to what people are doing here because it's such a relaxed area.
Yeah.
Everyone knows each other, but it's not a small town. It's a small county. It's like this massive area condensed.
Oh yeah.
And people know other people in the towns over. Like I grew up in a small town. Everyone knew each other in that small town.
Yeah.
But they didn't know the town over that well. Stearns is very different because everyone knows each other. And maybe this is just from my experience. I find this amazing. But I just find it really interesting that you're able to find that kind of a place.
Yeah. And Stearns County people are actually more likely to get hired in Minnesota. Did you know that?
No.
Because they're all farm boys, and work ethic is one of the
big things,
one of the biggest values. And so, if
I have heard that before,
if you're from Stearns County, it looks better on a resume, which is amazing to me because we're a bunch of idiots. But we work so goddamn hard. So you know the phrase "work harder, not smarter."
Yeah.
We work so goddamn hard that we don't have to be smart. Which is not necessarily true for me because I'm like
you're a very clever guy. Like when I talk to you, you always exercise me. And I'm not a brilliant man in any slight, but you just had a 2-hour podcast where you're able to, alliterate some of the knowledge that you've had on me. You blew my mind with a $30,000 instrument. I was floored.
I got some
floored.
bombshells. I got off topic though. I was talking about the story, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna briefly talk about my personal work ethic because I think it's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Is that I don't half-ass anything, but I also am the worst procrastinator. So it's the most disturbing thing. I don't know if disturbing is the right word, but I'll be like, I'm going to wait until the last minute to do this paper. And then I get there, and then I go, well, I started it. This has to be the best goddamn paper I've ever written. And that's not always true, but, like, things that matter to me, and, like, especially when it's my job, like, if it's my job and I'm getting paid and people depend on me, I work so goddamn hard. Mm-hmm. Humble boast.
Well, no, I've seen it.
But like
I've seen it. I can speak on your behalf. I've seen the way that you guys, especially just as my friends, that when I ask you guys to do something, Alex came in with notes the other day, and it's like, it's a podcast. I just want to spend time with you guys and learning.
When things matter,
they matter to everyone.
They matter, and it will be done. It might not be done right, but it'll be done well, right?
Yeah.
But with homework, fuck homework. But no, like if it's a thing that matters to me, or if people are depending on me, I tend to make sure that shit gets done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why Stearns County people get hired, because it's that mentality where it's like, it's got to get done. It can't not get done. It might suck, but people are waiting for it to happen. So here we go.
Like,
this has to happen, and someone's got to do it. Might as well be you. And it's that mentality, which I think is part of the reason why city people or rural people are more conservative, and city people are more liberal. And there's that dichotomy because all like the rural people are like, things have to get done, and I have to do it. And liberal people are more like, no, we can ask for help, right? And I think that's one of the fundamental differences, and that's why people disagree, is because rural people think that asking for help means that you're lazy, and city people think that you're doing it yourself means you're stubborn, and that tends to be like one of the roots of it all. Mm-hmm. It's too complicated a topic to get into.
No, but it is a really, it is an interesting part that situation
and it's a
arises.
part that people don't talk about. They always talk about like, oh, whatever. But I think that's one of the big things, is that views on how to work is so different.
Yeah. You're spot on, I think, with that. But that, I think, sets up a return for you. I mean, there's so much more I would love to talk to you about. So I'm excited to have you back, man. And thank you so much for doing this.
I never finished my story.
Oh, please. Oh, my gosh.
God.
I'm so sorry.
I never. No.
I was you're bringing us to this kind of beautiful, point now.
I'm a master storyteller.
You are. You got me lulled into the first story.
I haven't gone into the end of the first story. No, it's fine. I was just going to talk about, I had friends over. Alex was one of them.
Okay.
Alex and my friend Andy. We were just doing some dumb group project. And my uncle comes out of the barn. And we were making an air cannon because we were researching medieval weapons. So we were like, we'll make an air cannon to simulate a real cannon, and we just shot random crap out of it.
What?
And we got a good grade on it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But that air cannon was awesome because that thing, no lie, could shoot a baseball probably three football fields.
Oh my God.
No lie. No, okay. So my house is on a hill.
Okay.
Alex was across a hayfield and in the middle of a cornfield, weigh the balls out there with a baseball glove trying to catch it.
Sounds like a shirt. Just go weigh the balls out there.
And he tried to catch it. And one time, because we had it at an angle, it shot so high up that you couldn't tell where it would come down because the wind would change it. And then you could see it move, and then you'd be running for it, and then all of a sudden it'd go whoosh, and then it would veer off to the left. One time he got it close enough where it hit his glove, it ripped the glove off his hand. That's how fast the fucker was going. It was an amazing piece of machinery that blew out on us once. And then we just re-glued the PVC and just went for it.
Oh my! What?
So anyway, we were doing that, and then my uncle comes out and was
how does this relate to Grandma?
I'm just explaining why my uncles were there. So they were there having a good time, and then I veered off about the beer thing because there was no sadness. It was everyone was having a great time, playing cards, drinking beer, reminiscing, having great about good memories, and having a great time.
Yeah.
My uncle comes out of the barn, and we were just shooting because we're having fun doing random crap, and he goes "You shooting that there ball, Verstein?" And then and my friend literally looked at me so confused, and I was like, he just wanted us to shoot the ball higher, and then so it was that kind of thing. They had no clue what he was trying to say, and
I don't know what you just said.
And then, so here's the key. Verstehen means "do you understand?" That's about all you need to know. Because then you can just say "I don't understand." You good, Ben?
I had to physically pull the mic away from me because I know I have an annoying laugh.
No, it's a good one.
It just, oh my God.
No, so that's what Ben was talking about when he was talking about. It's there's so there's a definite ear to it, and
sounds like something I've heard before.
I know. Here's how German Stearns County is. I know at least 8 different drinking songs in German.
You guys have done that in front of me.
Yup.
It freaked me out. I think the second time I met you guys did some song. And I don't drink unless it's a very special occasion, so I'm sitting there dry sober watching you go, I did that. And I'm like,
and I'm sure the German words aren't even correct because it's from memory, and we're a bunch of native English speakers, so our pronunciations and our probably grammar and words are not correct. But the point is there, and the words are there, so we can get the point across.
Yeah.
But it's a good time.
I love it. It's amazing.
I brought that up to my music pedagogy K through 6. I was like, we actually we're taught German songs, and she's like, really? And I was like, yeah, I have this one. She's talking about growing songs, so the woman who swallowed the fly.
Oh yeah.
And then she's swallowed a horse, blah, 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 and then it goes on and it builds on. Yeah. So there's a German song like that in German, and I was like, I actually have a picture. There's a poster of it in Meyer Grove City Hall. There's a poster of it with all the words. I was like, I'll show it to her. And then I thought about it, and I was like, better not, because the poster is sponsored by Grain Belt Beer, and it wouldn't be school appropriate. But the words aren't about drinking. It's just like a additive thing.
Yeah.
But I was like, might not be it. And then
probably shouldn't.
But I might teach that to some kids someday.
Dude, you totally should. I would drive cross country if I could see you standing up in front of kids with tails on your suit.
Woo!
Right? And you're up there and all these kids come up and they're all dressed and their parents are ready.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, my angel's gonna sing, she's gonna be beautiful. And all of a sudden they go, Dann durfst dann skatten garten. And just all the kids are just like,
all the kids come out with like steins.
They're wearing lederhosen.
I was looking up lederhosen. I was like, I should dress up
Apparently
with lederhosen
super comfortable
for Halloween. And I was like, dude,
you know what you should do? You should come with me to the Irish festival.
Yeah?
Because I'm going to be, I got to get a kilt. I want to get a kilt because it's like, I got my DNA test back a little while ago for my birthday. I got a DNA test done. I'm super, super Scottish and I'm super, super Irish, obviously with the last name, but more so than I thought because my dad is German.
Yeah.
I was like, I should get a kilt and I should wear it and I could wear it to weddings and stuff. You and I should go out and you could wear lederhosen and I'll wear my kilt and my high socks. Yeah. I think that'd be hilarious.
I'm going to go as Alex's dad, Father Tim.
Father Tim.
Because
please come on the podcast, Father Tim. If you hear this, I'm very excited with some of your stories.
But his signature is overalls.
That is a good look. It's a cool look.
Overalls, and
they're coming back too.
I'm gonna wear overalls. And I keep contemplating telling me this is a good idea.
Shoot.
I keep contemplating turning the overalls into shorts.
Oh, like cutting them off high?
Cutting them off like here.
Okay.
And then wearing them as shorts.
Have you ever seen the show Swamp People? There was a guy named Bruce that did that. He wore them like shorts.
But see, here's the thing. It's my only pair of overalls, and I actually want to keep them. I want to actually have a pair of overalls to wear as overalls when I need them. So I don't want to ruin them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say ruin. At lunch today, I used the word enhance them because I talked about this at lunch today.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should enhance them or not because I need them the way they are.
I think what you should do is you should roll them up just below your knee and then get some obnoxious cowboy boots. And I think that would be enough.
Ooh, I need to go as a farmer. I need a cowboy hat.
Ask Leo. He's got a couple.
I want the cowboy hat that he owns that's made out of Budweiser boxes. Because that would be a jammin' look. I would go as a farmer for Halloween or Father Tim.
Father Tim.
Father Tim, shout out big man.
Oh my God. Sorry.
You good?
I'm looking at you and I can see the costume on you already. I know what it's going to look like.
I'll rock it. I have flannel too. I'm going to rock the flannel. See, I was also debating if I wear the overalls, do I wear a shirt or not?
No shirt. Because I've seen you in overalls without the shirt.
I don't want to be body shamed.
You wouldn't be body shamed. You're friends with me.
I'm going to be body shamed for it. No, I'm talking about...
You wouldn't be body shamed. When we are friends with the people we're friends with and the diversity of size in between all of us...
No. You don't understand. The Donations, shout out Donations, they're a band I play in, are going to have a Halloween party next week.
Oh.
Should I go with or without the shirt, Ben? Tell me right now. I don't want to be body shamed.
I feel like if you went for it, people would respect you. But that's just me. And I've worn short
I don't know how
shirts.
you can be respected when you're not wearing a shirt and you're wearing overalls.
The same reason that the Rat Pack is considered our mascots. And they run around in tutus. And people are like, based on sheer fact that they're willing to do that, I respect them. The fact that they would degrade themselves and wear a tutu with short shorts and put glitter on their faces.
I wouldn't say degrading. That's unfair.
Then we're good. Then yeah.
This is different.
Is this shame?
The whole point of the Rat Pack is to get people hyped up, so they have to be so over the top, and that's why. So I feel like that's their job, right?
Yeah.
My job is not to be a degenerate. I'm just debating if I should be one.
Why don't you do it halfway? Why don't you go in there and you wear your shirt?
Yeah.
And you leave 3 or 4 buttons undone.
It's only got the suspenders. Like there's no other buttons.
No, I'm talking the shirt that will go under the suspenders.
Oh.
So if you wore the flannel
look. I was thinking about maybe wearing like
like Larry the Cable Guy?
A wife beater or a white t-shirt.
Oh. That could work. That could
work. I should not call it
that's what they're called in slang. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like
whatever.
That's the thing. You can't get rid of that slang. You can't get away
it's
from
a problem.
that. People know what that is. That's just the way it is. It's like
I don't know. I literally don't know another word for it. I literally don't know another word.
No, it's an undershirt. Like that's it. But that's also there's multiple kinds of undershirts.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't own one though. So I don't know. I might see. This is the thing.
Yeah. This is where you got to think about it.
And also the logistics is that the house is hot as shit when there's a party because there's like 50 people packed into this like 20 by 30 foot fucking room. It's hot as hell, and you can't open windows because we don't want noise complaints.
Yeah.
So it gets very warm. So I feel like wearing a thick flannel shirt and overalls, I will be dying.
I honestly think for the beginning you may get shame, but at the end people will be like, you know what, he was the brilliant man out of all of us. Because he's got stuff that's ventilated. He's got stuff that rotates air north to south.
I just don't want nipples to be showing.
Then put some like tape over them. I don't know.
Oh no! Oh no! No!
Don't listen to the Ben Griffin podcast after that comment.
I might just go with a white T-shirt.
If
I don't do flannel, I might do a white T-shirt.
Yeah, if you're thinking about it that much, go with the white T-shirt. Start with that, and then, it's praise. It's basically that. Maybe a straw hat, something easy, something light.
But I get sick every year at Halloween. I always have such great plans for Halloween, and then I get sick as shit, and I never do anything. It makes me a sad panda sometimes. Ben,
sad panda.
You gotta keep up. It's from South Park.
I don't watch South Park.
Sexual harassment panda?
Oh,
he's like a bad mascot.
Oh, God. I just think of the Robin Williams joke. I think of the Robin Williams joke of maybe the reason pandas aren't like reproducing is because of like, I wouldn't do her. Like, you would go out.
They're very picky individuals.
Well, they are. Like, one of the things that I found out about them is that when the Chinese are breeding pandas, they say you have to go in and take the cub as the birthing's happening, because what mother pandas will do is they'll roll over and they'll actually crush the cub. So it's like these little things about animals, that are just so. There's a reason that they're on the extinction list. Besides just hunting, is also it's hard to get the numbers back up because they kill themselves. They're hurting each other.
And did you know that pandas don't like to mate that often?
No, I did know that. I did know that they don't like to mate often, and it's hard to get
they gotta be in the mood. They gotta put the slow jams on.
Can you imagine like a bunch of like highly intelligent Chinese scientists? Because that's the basic. Yeah. That's the people who are the headmasters of this movement to get the pandas back, dressing up like Barry White background dancers, and they got like some bamboo sticks they're waving back and forth to really set the mood. And they're brilliant people. Like, these are like top level folks in the background trying to help set this mood.
Do you think they have a halftime? Pandas have a halftime for sure.
Oh, they have to. They have to have a halftime, don't they?
Oh yeah.
Man.
If viewers don't know what we're talking about, you're just gonna have to figure it out.
You're gonna have to contact us.
You're gonna have to go and consult the experts.
That's for me and you
for sure. They also have halftime snacks for sure. That's what
they have to.
That's what the bamboo's for.
How about, can I leave you with a parting joke?
Yeah.
And then we'll call it here.
All right, that sounds good.
There's a man. He's working in a sandwich shop, right?
All right.
New to the job, Man walks in, asks for a sandwich, makes the sandwich for him. Woman walks in, asks for a sandwich, he makes the sandwich for him. Panda walks in. And he's asked for the sandwich, so he gives him the sandwich. He goes over, he sits down. And some guy stands up, and the panda gets up and shoots him, and then leaves.
Oh, my God.
And the guy goes, "What the hell are you doing?" And he goes, "I'm a panda. Look it up." So the guy does, and it says, "Panda eats, shoots, and leaves."
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Wow, you just gave me the worst look. I love it.
Oh, man.
No, but I think we'll wrap it up there, because this is one of the dangerous things where I get talking with you. Like I said at the beginning, you're one of these people that no matter where I go with conversation, you're always entertaining to talk with, because you're diverse of thought. You're really good at just keeping things going. It's awesome. No, it's a great quality to you. And thank you so much for coming in with the music. I know it's hard to talk to a simpleton, but it's the reason I love doing it.
It's hard. It's such an abstract topic that it's hard to talk about and get people to understand. Like, it's just one of those things that, and it's the most frustrating things that professors do, where it's like, you'll know when you know.
Yeah.
And it's true. And it's just a thing you can't teach.
Yeah, it is. But
I mean, you can, but like, you can't.
You can't teach. It's like
it's something
in basketball, you can't
experience.
teach tall. You have to have experiences playing the game that a coach just can't give you.
Yeah.
And it's the same in music. You have to feel that rush to understand the beauty behind it and understand what the passion, how the passion can drive you.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's an incredible thing. So thank you for coming in and let me talk to you about that.
Next time I'll play some songs.
I was going to say,
Not
I
literally,
really wish.
but like Spotify.
Well, yeah, no, I'll set up a mic for it and we'll figure it out, because I would love to hear some stuff that you have recommended.
Some royalty-free music.
Don't start. Don't even start with that, because my theme song's a banger.
That's for next time. That's for next time.
You can't upstage my theme song. It's a banger.
It's too late. I've already given too many recommendations.
Okay. Well, with that, thank you guys for listening to this podcast. If you want to get in contact with the show, feel free to reach out on Instagram or Twitter at the Ben Griffin Podcast. We also have a Gmail account if you want to email into the show at the bengriffinpodcast@gmail.com. It's a good way to keep in touch with people. It's been used, so it's been awesome to hear from you guys. Keep doing it. I love getting in contact with you guys. And if I'm a terrible responder, please forgive me. It's just based on the busyness of the school year. But with that, thank you, Levi, for joining me tonight. Thanks for putting up with me for 2 hours.
It's fun.
I enjoy your company, so hopefully I'll have you back here and we'll have another good one. So thank you guys. Have a good night. We appreciate your ears.
Love you.